The Falcons have traded for Patriots edge rusher Matthew Judon. Let's go! We've been talking about a Falcons trade for a pass rusher for months on the channel, and finally, they get one done, and they get a good one too. Someone we have talked about a lot on the channel. We have had circled for months. We have been tracking every single Matthew Judon holdout stage in New England, and Terry Fontenot gets the deal done. Welcome into an at-home edition of Falcons Today. We're going to break down this trade for you guys, tell you everything we know so far. It's a third-round draft pick going to New England. So, funny enough, I had actually filmed pretty much the entire video after the Jordan Schultz report of a trade being finalized. And then at the end of that video, the trade finalized was done. And so now we can restart and tell you all about it, which is the Falcons pick up Judon for a 2025 third-round draft pick. Now, my estimation is if they're giving up a third-round draft pick, that $6.5 million remaining on Judon's base salary, which any team that traded for him would have to incur, and they'd have to pay out for the rest of the season, and they would have to kind of take on the cap hit of that. My guess is the Patriots are eating some of his base salary. This is just a guess right now. I could be wrong, but I think if the Falcons were going to give up a third-round draft pick, it's because they wanted to save some money and give up a better draft pick to not have to take on his entire salary. And maybe they're doing that because they want to save some of their acorns for Justin Simmons. I don't think a Judon trade kills the possibility of Justin Simmons also joining the Atlanta defense. Could you imagine for a moment what that looked like? We'll circle back to that later in the video. But let's talk more about Matthew Judon, who he is as a player. This is an awesome trade for the Falcons. If you couldn't tell, I'm ecstatic over it. Now, Judon comes off a shortened season. Last year, a torn pec cut his 2023 season short. He only played 4 games, but he had 4 sacks in those games. So he was off to a good start before the injury. From 2019 to 2022, he made 4 consecutive Pro Bowls, putting up 9.5 sacks, 6 sacks, 12.5 sacks, 15.5 sacks. I mean, take it even one step further. In that stretch, there's 6 combined forced fumbles, no interceptions, but that's okay. But regardless, Atlanta's pass rush needed help. And you guys are getting tired of me telling you about it every single video pretty much. But finally, enough videos were made for Terry Fontenot to get a little kick in the derriere and get a trade done. So Judon to Atlanta for a 2025 third-round draft pick. And probably on tomorrow's episode, I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap because I've been talking about this for a long time, and a lot of you told me I'm making it up and this isn't going to happen and these are fake rumors. And what do you know? Judon is a Falcon. I had some misfires in the offseason. There's no doubt. There's no hiding that, but this one feels good. This one feels good. This is good for the program. This is good for the program. I needed this win right here, selfishly. But going back to the trade package, the Falcons giving up a third-round pick, it's not nothing. It's not chump change. Like, it's, a late day 2 draft pick. And with no 5th-round draft pick next year because of the tampering allegations, allegedly, like they got a 1st, a 2nd. This is just off the top of my head. 1st, 2nd, 4th. And then they don't have a 6th. They have 2 extra 7s from the Contavious Street trade with the Eagles last year. So they're a little bit light on draft capital, but there's a long time until the draft. You can recoup draft picks between now and then pretty easily. So third-round draft pick, like I said, not nothing, but you don't sign $180 million to mail it in, to $180 million to your quarterback to mail it in on the other side of the football. Like, the Falcons don't need a top 10 defensive unit to be successful this year. But they can't be bottom 5. And they were trending towards bottom 5 than top 10, right? If you had to pick one side for them to be closer to, what would you have picked? But now with Matthew Judon, I feel like they can be a middle-of-the-pack defense. Like, I'm not going to try and sell anyone on Atlanta's defense being the next 85 Bears this year, but they're going to be respectable. Like, they're going to be, it's not going to be a buzzsaw, but it's not going to be a nerf defense. And they're going to put up some really tough, stretches for opponents. And if you just think from front to back what Atlanta's working with now, Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata, Matthew Judon, Troy Anderson, Nate Landman, Caden Ellis, AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates. Like, it may not be the most star-studded defense in the league, but it's going to be a pretty good average defense to above average when it's, flying at its cruising altitude. If Raheem Morris and Jimmy Lake can coach up some of those younger guys, and that's going to be enough for Atlanta to kind of get by. Like, the Falcons this year don't need a defense to hold opponents to 10 points a game to win. Like, their offense with Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Bijan, that rest of the crew, they're going to put up 23 to 28 points more often than not. So they need opponents to just score less than 22. And with Judon on this defense, like, how many times last year did we see the Falcons defense just get bent over fourth quarter, last 2 minutes? Josh Dobbs and the Vikings, his 5th day with the team, driving down the field, game-winning drive. Hopefully with Judon, there's a sack in the mix there, and that halts a game-winning drive for the opponent. Like, that's what Atlanta needs. They need a playmaker up front. And after losing Braylon Trice, I'm very, very happy to see them be aggressive and go after a pass rusher to quickly plug that hole. Not just hope and pray that Arnold Ebiketie has a monster year like the guy who's running with the second-team defense the other day at practice. I'm not going to count my eggs on that happening. So, yeah, I think this is a really smart move by the Falcons. For the Patriots for a moment, they're heading towards a rebuild, whether they want to say it out loud or not, like they are. So getting a day 3 pick for a guy who's kind of in a hold-in situation. He's 31, so sure, he's not going to give either the Falcons or the Patriots, probably a lot of good years left, but you only need him for 1 to 2. Like, you're trying to just find a short-term fix here for 2024 and then attack pass rusher long-term in 2025 in the draft or free agency. But Judon coming over, I should have mentioned earlier, is likely going to get met with a contract extension. Otherwise, unless he's just really happy to get out of New England and he's content to play out the last year of his contract, my guess is the Falcons have some type of deal set in place with him and his agent, and it's likely going to be a 1 to 2 year contract extension. Maybe they give him more guaranteed money, and that kind of like calms his nerves a little bit going into the final year of his contract. So I would expect this to be quickly met with a restructured contract, guaranteeing most of his money for this year, maybe adding some more incentives, or maybe adding 1 to 2 more years on his deal. He's 31 years old. I don't expect Atlanta to back up the Brinks truck, give him a 3 to 4 year extension or anything like that, but they're going to have to try and, meet the needs of their new pass rusher that New England was not meeting. But that's the news. A 3rd round draft pick going to the Patriots for Matthew Judon. Huge pickup for Atlanta. Let's go. I don't want to say I told you so, but I kind of told you so. We're going to break it down in the studios tomorrow with a more in-depth video. But let me know what you think of the trade in the comment section. Give me a yes or a no if you're still watching. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe as well.